Now then YouTube, welcome to another video. It's part 3 of the engine swap. If you don't know what we're doing, we've taken a 1ZZ engine out of a MR2 Spider, the MR2. I need to make sure I say the model right because I know some of you are getting confused. It's an MR2, they're all MR2s, but with the car having so many different names around the world, it's hard to know which one to use all the time. But yeah, today's day 3, and I've got good news and bad news. The good news is, you're on the tripod. I found the tripod. So, back to, one of the legs is a bit dodgy and I've tried to fix it with a cable tie, and it's not perfect, but it's better, we've got a tripod, so that's good. The bad news is, I'm going to have to take you off the tripod for this. So the bad news is, the ramp that we use to take the engines out of the car currently has a Nissan on it. Now, what else is bad about this, despite the Nissan having no front subframe on, is the ramp is a little bit fucked. So this Nissan, as of yesterday, is stuck on the ramp. So what that means for us is, you can see the clues. So we need to put this engine back in this car. We don't have the ramp, which would have been nice, but we're not going to let that stop us, so we're going to be putting the engine in on the floor. Now, I've been up through the week, and I've tried to make it a bit tidier in here. I don't know if you really saw last time, but the amount of dust that was sat on, like, pretty much every surface, and a lot of dirt in, like, the little crevices in the side and all that. So, spent a bit of time cleaning that. And also, on the engine, we've fixed the alternator wiring. So I ended up taking the plug off the other engine and just soldering it about halfway down, I think. And the same for the MAF wiring. Now I kept the length on it. The reason it's longer than standard one, and the reason why the wiring's a bit funky, is because it's been extended. That's because the air filter normally sits around here, but we're going to be sitting around here, so we just need the extra length on the loom. Do you remember when we took this motor out of the blue one in the first episode, and we found some water in the cylinder? Well, it was still there. I kind of thought it might have burnt off with the revving and running the engine up, but it was still there, and I've just got it out now. Got it most of it out of the cylinder one. Now, I did want to change the spark plugs on this car, because I put some new spark plugs in the other engine, like within 20 miles or so of changing the engine, so yeah, they're proper fresh. I want to get the plugs out, but obviously I don't want to change it while there's water in my cylinder, or on the top of the spark plugs, so I reckon we'll fit it as it is now and not try and change the spark plug yet, and try and get it to burn off what's left. Nice that. And it's 15 mil of water. I spilt a bit of it around. Some of it went back in, but I can't get it out because my hose is a bit thick. So yeah, I got most of it out. Never had to do that before on a car. Right, so as well as trying to give the engine a bit of a spruce up and the engine bay, I also got those 2 side mounts off and just gave them a coat of some Hammerite black that I had left. So this was just the spray version as well, and it's done alright, to be honest. I did rub them down quite a bit. They were the wire wheel mostly. They were pretty pitted. Do you remember when I said that bracket looks minging or something like that in the previous video? That bracket there looks minging. It was this bracket. So yeah, it definitely looks a bit better with the gloss black. Painted the bolts as well. So yeah, we're getting serious, very serious. Everything's coming together, and hopefully we'll get this back in today. So our plan of attack today to install this engine without being able to use the car lift. We're going to lift up the back of the car using the engine crane, and then we're going to roll the engine under on the dollies, pretty much like what we were doing on the ramp. But I guess the only difference is that we're using the engine crane to lift the car rather than a 2-post lift. One thing that's not going to be as fun is getting the things at the back of the engine or the front of the engine connected, like the fuel line and the throttle cable and the front engine mount. On the floor, that's not going to be as much fun, but everything else, you know what part comes first, everyone's favourite. It's the dolly challenge. Well, the engine's in, the engine bay, nothing's bolted up.
Yeah, I'm happy with that, it's gone in nice and easy. I've not put any of the side mounts on yet, the ones that I painted. I thought I'd just put the engine in first and then we can bolt it all in afterwards. I also took, you'll see me in the time lapse, I took the driver's side engine mount off because I left it on from when I lifted the engine to change the clutch. So let's take that back off just to get it up past the chassis leg. We'll have to put that back on. This is the one. Obviously we'll have to put that back on. But yeah. Just before I do get started, I know there'll be a few people who have noticed my axle stand device. Obviously it's patent pending.
So I'm going to spend the next hour or so getting it back together. I'm hoping we can get it started today. We can't drive the car because I've got no gearbox oil. No idea why I didn't save that red line oil. I was more interested in moaning about wasting it than I was about retaining it. I should have just put it in a bottle, but never mind. I've got some scraps of gearbox oil that we could put in it, but I'm not that interested. We'll just wait till we get the proper stuff. But we should be able to get the engine running because I've got some clean engine oil and stuff, so that'll be his job for today. Let's get this one purring. Obviously we've heard it running in the blue one and we know how nice it sounded and everything. A few comments saying how good that one ZZ sounded with a bean can on. Oh yeah. I'm not sure what exhaust I'm going to use yet either. I have to run a catalytic converter on this car, which is something that it didn't come with, so I don't know if you picked up, but the blue car did have a catalytic converter. It's quite a big one. It's probably the original one, I presume, because it's massive. Obviously these cars have two in the manifold and then one further down, and it's the one further down that I'm going to be putting in. Now, would be better, of course, to get like a 200 cell or 100 cell race cat and then get it welded in and get like a custom exhaust system, but we're not there with the budget. I've run out of budget basically, so I can't do that. We're going to use what we've got, and yeah, we'll make the best go at it. Right, well she's in, just about. Got the two side mounts on, and the engine's still a bit rocky, but that's fine. Got rid of the engine crane on the back of the car as well, and got it now on two axle stands at the side. So yeah, I'm in a good position now where I can just put everything back into the car. Now, it's just going to be a case of connecting everything back up. Now, I didn't really tell you what I was disconnecting when I took the engines out, but you know, if you're going to do this yourself, you'll probably know, right? Vacuum, water hoses, fuel hoses. Just basically work your way around and anything that looks like it should be connected. Yeah, another time lapse, another half an hour maybe until we've got it running.
3 hours later.
I thought we'd have a little update because I've not filmed anything for a little while and it's been a couple of hours. Not a lot's changed visually. Probably looks like we're at the same kind of stage, but we're nearly there. I keep saying that. I'm just about to put the exhaust on. As I said earlier, I've got to run a catalytic converter on this car. So there she is. I know it's minging, but as long as it runs. So yeah, I'm just going to put this on, and then after the exhaust, all that's left to do is put power to the battery, or redo all the power cables, which is going to be a bit of a bodge because I don't have another clamp, or what they call a big crimp. I had like a big little junction crimp thing to put the two from the starter motor and the alternator into one wire to the battery in the front. So I need to do some jiggery pokery with that. The exhausts just going back on. I've just been struggling with the exhaust manifold because one of my studs decided to pull out a bit of metal from the cylinder head, which wasn't ideal. Luckily, it must have been just the end thread because I was able to get it out and very slowly twiddle it back in. So it's not ideal by any means. It has been fighting me. I've managed to win both battles so far. The war is not over. We're not done yet, but yeah, we're getting there. So you might have seen me struggling in the time lapse a bit with the engine when I was putting the side mounts on. The dollies, because they're angled, and these dollies that we're using, they've got like a V channel in the middle, and basically my engine was tilted in a way that I couldn't get the passenger side bracket in square, so it took a bit of shuffling about on these. I had to get underneath the car and kick them straight just to get the engine in the right position so I could get the side mount on. So a bit of pissing about, but we knew this wasn't going to be ideal, but we're just grateful that these are here because we had something to use. Otherwise we'd have been proper if we didn't have at least these. So it was a bit of a struggle, but had to happen. Right, I'm just on with the last step, possibly, which is getting the battery on. And I want to make it a bit nicer than last time, because last time it was a little bit of a mess. It was not, well, perhaps not a mess. I put my mind to it, but I just didn't quite make the execution tidy enough. But I've got one of these little fuckers. Look at that. Do you know what that is? Now, this was robbed from an E46 BMW before it was scrapped, as well as this. Oh, I like these. Now, this is going to go in the front somewhere, so I can jump start the car if I ever need to, if the battery died. But this one, I'm just going to use this as a little junction box, really. There's a 250 amp mega fuse in there. Can you see that? It's definitely a mega fuse, so you know, means business. 250 amp will be more than enough. And then if I do end up shorting out that power cable that I've got going all the way along, at least, well, I mean, the power could get to the battery, I guess, but it won't go back to the engine and blow stuff. I don't know. You're supposed to fit these ideally as close to the battery as possible to save that, but I'm using it just to make my life easier and to make the connections look a bit neater. So there's a few holes in the back of it as well, and it's got a top cover. Should make our lives easier. So there's a few holes at the back here as well. What I'm going to try and do is mount this to the inside of where this fuse box is. Just on the left side of the engine bay, and then I'll have my feed going to the battery, and then the alternator and the starter motor both linked into here, because they both come off the engine loom, obviously. So yeah, hopefully that'll make it look neat, but I need to make it look neat first, so let's see what happens.
Honestly think that is one of the best things I've ever done.
Right, it's time to find out if the car's going to run, and if this little bodging on the wiring and stuff like that, if it's all done. I've not turned the key yet, I've not even turned the battery on yet. Remember, we've got a battery cut-off switch, so I'm going to turn the music off so we can listen to fuel pumps and stuff, and then we'll give it a go. That funnel screws in. Yeah, cool. Making a right mess. Oh, all that cleaning for nothing. I poured it way too fast, yeah. I just put the ECU in, daft cunt. I don't get very far without an ECU. Well, I've plugged the ECU in, is it still going? Right, well, we're going to try and start it now. Maybe. We'll see if the fuel pumps come on. Fuel pumps. So the downpipe's on but not connected. It's not quite tight. They started though.
It's not smoking either, is it?
No smoke yet. Try and start it again. There's only a little bit of coolant in the car, so I'm not going to let it run. I'll probably bleed the coolant and stuff tomorrow. It's been all day. It's been all day, but it's nearly there. It's been all... Right, I don't know if you heard that, but I definitely heard it. It sounded like a Subaru. Nice that.
Hot town, summer in the city.
There's also a little bit in cylinder 2.